Welcome to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. I hope you've been enjoying the winter weather, getting out there skiing, going on for some nice trail walks. And you know what? I want to give you a little personal update. My yoga classes have started. You know, people were asking me, hey, you should, or telling me, you should offer hot yoga. And so I decided, yeah, I'm going to figure that out. So it's more of warm winter yoga in my home studio with a fireplace and some wall heaters and floor heaters. So my classes have begun. On the days where I have some extra spots, you can try it with a drop-in. You can send me a message and I can let you know more. Now, let's talk about today's show. So we have Dylan Ohm on the show, who is a singer-songwriter, along with his music producer, David Neal. And they are both on the show talking about some exciting stuff that they have coming up. Eric Marchand is also on the show talking about some must-see movies for 2023. Definitely two you for sure 100% need to see. Well, potentially three. And then we have Alec King from CMHA talking about burnout. What are the signs of burnout? And what are some strategies? Make sure you keep on watching because we got all that and more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they are fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
Hi, I'm Sean Lackey, and this is Sold with Sean Lackey. You should check us out if you want to find out what's going on in the world of real estate. We'll have all sorts of guests to keep you in the loop on what's going on in this wonderful world.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So with me on the show is Eric Marchand, and we are talking about movies that are coming up in 2023. So it's exciting. We got some new movies coming along.
It really is.
Okay, and for you more so, you were just, he was just explaining that you've been talking about the same 10 movies that are up for awards and things like that, and you wanted some fresh, juicy movies, right?
Exactly. It's always exciting to look forward, to look ahead to what's coming and kind of think about, oh, what are going to be the movies that I'm most excited to see, and what are going to be the surprises? Because, you know, last year I would have never imagined that the Tollywood sensation RRR was going to be one of my favorite films, and it has surprised so many people because it is so energetic and just bombastic in its style, and it's bringing back that feeling of what it's like to go back to the theater. So it's always wonderful to see a film that kind of sneaks up on you and surprises you in that way, but it's also fun to kind of anticipate certain films that you are intrigued by and you maybe aren't sure how they're going to go. And I feel that this year is going to be similar to last year, where people are hungry to go back to the movie theaters.
Okay, so we have two movies that are coming up on, is it July?
July 21st.
Two of them on the same day. Is that normal? On the same day?
Big, when it comes to blockbusters, there used to be a time when you would have multiple movies coming out on the same day, but when it came to the pandemic, you know, theaters were closed. And so as the theaters started to reopen, you would maybe have one or two kind of bigger films opening in the entire month. So maybe one movie would open at the beginning of a month and it would be a $100 million film, and then you would have another movie open at the end of the month, which would also be a film that was made for $100 or $200 million. So a Marvel movie, then a Top Gun film. So for example, Doctor Strange back in last May did that, and then Top Gun opened at the end of May. So those films are always kind of spread out, but now you have this showdown, this cinematic showdown between Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer and Greta Gerwig's Barbie, two movies that are these giant non-IP films. So
What do you mean by non-IP?
so films that aren't necessarily based on a comic book or previously existing material, even though Barbie is based on the Mattel doll, but it's not based on necessarily, you know, a TV show or anything like that.
Right,
It's an
right,
original
right.
creation from Greta Gerwig,
Okay,
which is
okay.
going to be very interesting because the teaser trailer for that film was released, and it doesn't give away anything plot-wise.
Okay, but what is it about? What's the theme?
That's the thing.
Nothing?
Nobody knows what it's
Nothing.
about yet because
Okay.
the trailer is kind of mocking Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey
Okay.
in a kind of cheeky way. And so it stars Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling in the lead roles as Barbie and Ken.
Okay, so it's not cartoon.
No, it's a live-action movie, and the rumors are, and again, this is all speculation and rumors, but it is almost going to be in the vein of something like The Truman Show, or something like The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, where you have characters entering a different world, a different reality.
Oh,
and
okay,
so
cool.
Barbie's going to be entering our world, the real world. And so you even have someone like Will Ferrell who's in the film, who's playing the owner of Mattel. And that almost is like a nod to Buddy the Elf in the Elf movie, which is kind of similar where, you know, Buddy comes into our world after the North Pole.
Okay, yes. Okay, so we have to move on because I want to make sure that we cover
Yes.
everything. So tell me about Christopher Nolan's movie.
Yeah, and so Oppenheimer is based on J. Robert Oppenheimer, one of the theorists who came up with the atom bomb, the horrific man-made massive destruction of Hiroshima, and one of the most compelling characters in, I think, history. And so he's getting his story told by one of the most pragmatic filmmakers, a guy who, if you've seen his other movies, the Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight films, or even Inception, or more recently Dunkirk and Tenet, he's a guy that's very adamant about seeing a movie in the theater and having that theatrical experience. And making a historical biopic, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he plays with time, because he seems to have this obsession thematically with how time plays out, whether it be in short bursts or cutting back and forth in a non-linear fashion. So it'll be very fascinating to watch both of these movies play out in the box office their first weekend, and what movie connects more with audiences over time.
Okay, now before we go into the new Mission Impossible that's coming out, you said something very, very funny to me just before we started. So what did you say about actors who are not in one of those two movies?
Oh yeah, so basically both of those films as well have huge ensembles, and
Yeah.
it feels like if you're not in one of those films or both, you should fire your agent.
Okay.
So it's one of those kind of situations
Because
where
they're going to be big.
They're big, yes.
Okay, now tell me about Mission Impossible. We have less than a minute.
yeah, so that's
Okay.
the week before. So that's on July 14th. And
Okay.
what's going to be very exciting about that movie is Mission Impossible Fallout seemed like a film that was going to be so hard to top.
Yeah.
But yet you get Tom Cruise coming back again with Christopher McQuarrie, who is the director and writer. And what they do now anyways, when it comes to the Mission Impossible movies, is they will look for locations and they'll write a story around the location, so a set piece. So they'll go and scout, you know, interesting vistas and locales, and then when they write their sequences, they'll create the stunts within that, and so they kind of create the stories in a way that's starting from the inside out.
Wow.
And I find that really fascinating.
I never knew that anyone did that. I would just think they would seek out the place to match the writing.
No, they're doing the opposite. They're literally kind of, you know, starting from a point where it's like, okay, this is an interesting location. Can we get Tom to do, you know, a life or death kind of stunt? And then from there, we'll write the story in to the scene. And so McQuarrie is very much kind of, you know, trying to make that movie the best blockbuster he possibly can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show. I'm very excited to see those movies.
Absolutely.
So we'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
To the rafters in the Edmonton Arena. Everyone is feeling the pressure on the Grabs as they await the American champs. Here's the Cleveland favorite Knits now, and boy, do they look impressive.
Look at their uniforms.
I bet you could sure run in smart shirts like those.
Not that. Look, world champs, my eye.
Grads, we don't play for glory. We play the game for the game's sake. So tonight, you're going to earn that title by playing your game. Teamwork, passing. Let's show them what it means to play the grads.
Were champions for 25 years. The record of 502 wins and only 20 losses is unmatched in all of sport.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. Are you feeling burnt out, or maybe think you could be burnt out? Maybe you're not sure. Well, Alec King from CMHA has a special guest, and they'll be talking about the signs of burnout and what you could do. So I'm going to throw it off to Alec. Alec, take it away.
Thanks, Jackie. I'm Alec King with the Canadian Mental Health Association of Durham Region, and I am here with Kristen Bellows of our Recovery College Wellness Center, and we're going to talk about burnout.
Right, thanks, Alec. Yeah, so burnout is a unique type of stress. So it happens when stress is prolonged and excessive. Mm-hmm. Anyone can really experience burnout. You can see higher rates of burnout in our helping professions. So our doctors, paramedics, nurses, social workers, PSWs. When it comes to jobs, those jobs are going to have very high rates of burnout. But again, it can still happen to anyone. Parents and teachers can also experience high rates of burnout, but really if in your social roles, within your family, work, school, if there is that long, intense period of stress, mm-hmm. burnout could occur.
So it doesn't really matter what kind of stress it is, it's just the intensity and the duration, right?
Yeah, and also your perception of that stress.
Right.
Some people may be fine with it, other people may not be. Well, so it's going to be up to the person.
It's good you say that, because like a lot of the times people think like, you know, they're stressed and overwhelmed, but they're like, but I'm not a doctor, or I'm not,
yeah.
you know, like any one of those kind of mm-hmm. professions, but people can still get burnt out.
Yeah, for sure. Like even if anyone is a caregiver to children, like mm-hmm. parents or to elderly parents, you're working really hard, you have a lot of responsibilities, you may not have a lot of time to do the things that you want to do, or you don't feel like you have the time to do things that you want to do. Mm-hmm. So you might not be a doctor, but there's still a lot going on, mm-hmm. and it can be very overwhelming.
Absolutely. So what does burnout look like?
So burnout can look a few different ways. So the big one that I notice with myself when I have experienced burnout, then also other people that I've worked with, is exhaustion. Mm-hmm. And this isn't like, oh, I'm tired, I need to go to sleep. It's just very draining. I don't have a lot to give.
Yeah, like weariness.
Yeah, like a very physical and emotional weariness. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Irritability. Mm-hmm. So maybe some things that people used to be able to cope with, they can't now. Or even if they kind of just exist in a more irritable state, it's amplified now. Some people can also have escape fantasies, so just that thinking of, oh, I'd just rather be somewhere else, or right. I want to go on a vacation and not come back for a really long time. People may find that they're physically unwell more often, just since stress is known to lower our immune system. They might be a bit more sick. People can also develop some mental health issues as well from the stress, or if they already have a mental health issue, they could notice some of those symptoms getting a little bit worse.
Yeah, it sounds like burnout can have a pretty significant effect on people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what can people do if they're feeling like they're approaching burnout? How could someone tell if they're approaching burnout, maybe?
So experiencing any of those symptoms, and I think it's important that we kind of check in with ourselves mm-hmm. and just sort of do like a little assessment of like, oh, I don't really enjoy my work anymore. Or I find that I'm really short-tempered with my kids more than usual. And just doing that check. Yeah. And then they can move on to, okay, what can I do about it? Yeah. So some of the things we can do about burnout, It's really nothing new. It's just really validating how important some of these things are. So if you can delegate your tasks, do that. If you can bring people in to help you with some of the tasks, do that as well, instead of taking everything on for yourself. Reaching out to other people for help, whether that just be talking about what's stressing you out, or also just taking time to be with other people. So taking a break. It doesn't need to be like a week-long vacation, but just taking time to go for a walk, do something fun after work, or just taking that break to even just have a talk with family, friends, coworkers, so you're not just constantly doing the stressful thing over and over.
So it sounds like a bit like you need to combine like checking in with yourself and knowing where you are, and then kind of acknowledging that that's how you're feeling, and then kind of taking that break in a mindful way to kind of reset a bit, right? Yeah. And it can be important to help with burnout, to set boundaries. So, and this is hard, learning to say no, or I can't right now is really important. Then also setting the boundaries with yourself. So knowing like if you're feeling burnout at work, okay, when work is done, I'm not bringing work home. So setting that boundary with yourself that work stays at work. And I know that's not always possible for everyone. So just setting the boundaries as appropriate for what you're doing. I imagine it's one of those things that's it's very difficult, but it's probably easier than going through the whole process of being burnt out, right? Yeah, because with burnout, if we don't catch it, people have ended up quitting their jobs because they're just done with the stress of the job. It can affect your relationship with your family, your friends, coworkers, kids. And then also just you can lose touch with yourself because it's just hard to find joy in things again. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you've got this information for people on how to deal with it. That's fantastic. So, Kristen, thank you for coming and talking with us about this. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so from the Canadian Mental Health Association Durham and our Recovery College Wellness Center, thank you, Kristen, for this information. And back to you, Jackie.
Thank you, Alex. So those were fantastic tips. Make sure you give yourself the self-care you need so you don't have to get to that burnt out place, or you can get yourself out of it. So we'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
As the fighting continues in Ukraine, thousands of people are fleeing for their lives, forced to leave everything behind. You can help them. Your donation to the Humanitarian Coalition will provide food, water, shelter, and medical care to the people of Ukraine who urgently need it. Call 1-855-461-2154 or donate online today at together.ca. That's together.ca. The Humanitarian Coalition. Together, saving more lives.
Think it's too late to become more fit? Think again. I'm personal trainer Karen Ross, specializing in 55-plus fitness. My mission is to help you find your way back to health and wellness. I'll give you the knowledge and the power to take control of your own fitness path. Everyone deserves quality of life for their entire life. Tune into A Little Bit Fit with me, Karen Ross, here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So I have two super exciting guests on the show. We have Delon Ohm, who is a singer-songwriter, and we also have an OMA producer, music producer. We have David Neal. Did I get it right? Yeah, yes, David Neal. I want to make sure. It is so awesome to have you guys on the show. You guys are Durhamites. Are you originally from Pickering or Oshawa?
I'm born and bred in Pickering. I've been here for quite some time. Love the city, love the diversity, and such a wonderful space to just be creative and just spread your wings and do all you can in the art scene.
Nice. Okay, so I was listening to your latest song. What is it called?
You Belong to Me.
It is beautiful. Now, you can find that on YouTube, right?
Absolutely,
If people just Google Delon Ohm.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about your band and what you guys have been doing.
Well, it's so funny you mentioned that song. You know, that song holds a very special place in both our hearts. Last year we lost a dear friend of ours. His name was Sheldon Moore. He was a pillar in the community of Durham. You know, he went on to do incredible things for many artists, including Snow, Chauclair, Socrates, you name it, and even international acts. And he actually served as a mentor to David. And when we lost him so early, we decided that we wanted to create a video to honor his love for music and the arts. And, you know, David can speak more to the conceptual development of the video. And yeah, go ahead.
Right. Yeah, so we discussed a lot in terms of the concept that we wanted to do for You Belong to Me. And essentially, it was a flip on the lyrics of the actual song that we did, where we got kidnapped and there was a lover, had a love interest in terms of, like, you always belong to that person, you know, and that's kind of what we portrayed in the video.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so I saw a clip, like I've seen various clips on your Instagram channel. Want to tell everyone your Instagram channel?
Yes, it's hashtag DeLon_Ohm.
Okay, so are those clips right from the music video?
Absolutely, yeah. Some behind the scenes stuff and the actual video to, you know, sell the sizzle before you have the steak, right?
Okay,
just get people in the mood.
Okay, so what's to come with your band?
Well, you know, February 3rd, we have the distinct honor and privilege of performing at the Parasports Olympics in Whitby at the Ability Center.
Yes.
And we're hosting a listening party. And, you know, before the camera started rolling, we invited you, so you better be there. You know, I'm holding you accountable in front of all the viewers, all the audience members.
Make sure, what's the date?
February 18th. It's the weekend of Family Day. So the 18th of February.
Okay, and it's at Chuk.
It's at Chuk, yes, our favorite spot.
I love Chuk.
Exactly. Big Red was on the show quite recently. Big Red will be there that day.
We've had him on a couple times.
Absolutely.
He makes the best margarritas and apparently mojitos too. I haven't had
You
this
haven't
mojito.
lived until you've had it.
Oh, because I love mojitos.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
Okay, so that's exciting. And what is coming beyond that?
Well, you know, David Neal has some incredible news. After winning the OMA at the prestigious awards, he's launching his own EP. So let's give the people what they want.
Okay, so OMA is the Oshawa Music Awards.
Yeah.
So tell me about this new song you have.
Yeah, so the EP is coming out. We're dropping that in March, and we're having a launch on the 18th. For that, we're having a duo launch, and it's going to be just R&B, soul music, my flip and my take on that.
Nice.
Right on.
Oh, that's awesome. Can you give us an idea of what the name of the song is?
Well, the EP is called Blue.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different songs on there as well. Yeah.
There's a ton.
There's a ton.
Not just one main one. You got it.
Right,
You got it. Sorry, I got to learn the music lingo. I couldn't.
It's hard though. It's hard because an album, an EP, a single. It's all the nomenclature is so.
EP was just a single. Anyway,
Right.
you just taught me something
Right.
new.
Extended play.
The extended play.
4 to 6 songs.
Right.
Okay, very cool. Now, what I also wanted to talk to you guys about, you have another Instagram channel. It's probably more than just Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's called, what is it called? The Six
Dreams Apart.
6 Dreams Apart.
Yeah.
Okay. It is, you have videos from 6 Dreams Apart that it just warms your heart. Can you tell everyone about that?
Absolutely. That was, you know, David Neal's brainchild. David Neal is a softie, by the way. You know, he tears up when he watches, you know, certain undercover kindness tests online.
Nice.
You know, Jimmy Darts.
Hallmark movies?
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, good.
Rom-coms, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So we wanted to do something that was kind of a flip on just the impacts of the pandemic. So during the pandemic, the one thing we heard from everyone was stand 6 feet apart.
Right.
So we took that and we created 6 Dreams Apart. Because we all had dreams during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they were derailed for whatever reason.
Right.
Financially, so on and so forth. So this is really an undercover kindness test that we do all across Durham. It's only in Durham. So for those watching, you might be next. 6 Dreams Apart. And we basically ask them if they can spare some change to buy, like, you know, a very low-priced item. And if they agree, we gift them with a $100 gift card.
That's amazing, just to thank them for opening up their hearts. And I think that's really amazing.
It really is, yeah.
And did you have, because is there an undercover camera like in between products? How did you set that up?
Talk to David about that.
We have a Sony camera that is in a bag, a ripped open bag, so it's just the lens is sticking out.
Yeah.
And then we have a whole bunch of grocery items that we choose, books and different things.
Okay.
And we're walking around with the cart
Yeah.
and hopefully not being seen while we're doing it.
Okay.
God forbid an employee see us, because the stuff in the cart, it's like coloring books, broccoli, it's a whole hodgepodge. You know, very diverse items in this cart. It makes no sense, but anyway, there they are, and it's all to conceal the camera.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Okay, so what is the best place for people to connect with you socially? Where do you want them to go?
Yeah, you know, all major streaming platforms for my music, you know, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, and of course Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'd love to have you back on the show because we'll want some updates on what's going on.
Absolutely.
It was wonderful having you on the show. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Sometimes, for a wish to come true, it takes a kingdom, because together we're stronger. Tied tight, united we stand, in honor of one child's wish, to fuel the fire that will grant many more. Join the kingdom.
Think it's too late to become more fit? Think again. I'm personal trainer Karen Ross, and my mission is to help you take control and find your way back to health and wellness. Tune in to A Little Bit Fit with me, Karen Ross, here on Rogers TV.
Knights of Columbus TV Bingo every Tuesday at 7 p.m. right here on Rogers TV, with a guaranteed $5,000 grand prize jackpot on the full card winner. Every week, 7 p.m. Tuesdays, right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So that is a wrap of another fabulous show, I must say, because we had Dylan Alm on and his music producer, David Neal. That was super cool. You want to make sure you catch them at the Paris Sport Olympics on February the 3rd. And then they also have that the music launch on February the 18th. So check out their social media so you can stay in tune with what's going on, how to get tickets, and to listen to his music. Eric Merchant was on the show and talking about the 2020-23 movies. You know what? There's more than that going on, and way before July 21st. So we're going to have him on again. So stay tuned for more from Eric. And in regards to burnout, self-care. We want to avoid burnout. Give yourself the love you need. And hey, if you want to sign up for yoga, you can let me know. But there's a lot of beautiful resources out there. We'll be back next week with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Call the Rogers TV Viewer Response Line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Long way from Nashville, and mama, I tell you that. Performed from Montreal to Boston to Los Angeles. But Toronto, that's my chosen home. Sure, when I'm walking down Yonge Street, I see some funny people who have the nerve to point the finger at me. And grin and smile and whisper. My song was #2 on local radio. Sold 10,000 in Toronto alone. Turned down Ed Sullivan because they asked me to remove my makeup. Wouldn't do American Bandstand because of their segregation policies. I was just being me. Never tried to explain